Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Ever really stop to think about language? I mean, not just words, but how they work, why they sound the way they do, and what that reveals about our own minds. Today, we're not just, scratching the surface. We're diving deep, really deep into a concept that's shaking things up. It challenges fundamental ideas about language, intelligence, even AI. So yeah, get ready for a rethink because we're exploring the Odom-Tilly theory by Dr. Mamoudzhen Kuchkarov.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we're looking directly at Dr. Kuchkarov's work, specifically his article From Illusions to Language Truth. Quite the title. It asks why Chomsky, de Saussure, and Hinton might have gotten things fundamentally wrong, and he positions his Odom-Tilly paradigm as the missing scientific revolution, plus his other research. It's definitely a bold claim, challenging giants like that.
Absolutely. And our mission today is really to unpack that claim. Dr. Kuchkarov argues that the foundations of modern linguistics and AI are, well, he says, crumbling. And he points to this shared fatal flaw.
Right. The flaw being this belief that you can model intelligence and meaning without grounding it empirically, without connecting it to human biology and actual cognitive experience.
So Odom-Tilly, or OT, is proposed as the alternative.
Exactly. A framework that's meant to be biologically plausible, linguistically sound, and crucially computationally applicable. It aims to bridge cognition, phonosemantics, that's the study of sound meaning links, and AI architecture, all in one unified way, moving beyond what he calls illusions towards language truth.
Okay, so let's start with the linguistic side, the linguistic fallacy, as he puts it. Most people know Ferdinand de Saussure. His structuralism is pretty foundational. He said linguistic signs are arbitrary. What exactly does arbitrary mean here for, someone not deep in linguistics?
Good question. Basically, it means the connection between a word's sound, the signifier, like saying tree, and the concept, the mental image of a tree, the signified. That connection is just social convention. There's no natural reason tree means tree. We could have called it glarb, and if everyone agreed, that would work. It's arbitrary, not inherent.
Okay, so like cat, the sound doesn't inherently feel feline. We just agreed on it.
Precisely. And then Noam Chomsky came along and built on this. He developed generative grammar with the huge idea of a universal grammar, this notion that we're born with this innate, hard-coded brain structure for language. It's a nativist, formalist view. Very abstract, and it's dominated for decades.
So how does Dr. Kuchkarov's OT theory challenge these massive established ideas? What's the key argument or piece of evidence he uses to say, no, this is wrong?
Well, the really surprising part is his direct attack on that arbitrary sign idea. He argues, based on empirical work, that sound-meaning relationships are not arbitrary, they're traceable. His most provocative claim is that specific sounds, phonemes like S or esh or Y, actually carry cognitive imprints from our earliest physical, emotional interactions with the world.
So wait, sounds aren't just random labels, but kinda evolved expressions of experience. That's a huge jump from Saussure.
It is.
And what does that mean for Chomsky's universal grammar? If sounds aren't arbitrary, does that change the innate structure idea?
Well, OT proposes that universal grammar isn't some pre-installed software package in the brain. Instead, it might derive from our shared human experiences interacting with the physical world. How we handle objects, perceive sensations, use tools universally. So OT replaces this abstract structure idea with something like function-based coding.
Function-based coding, like learning a block, is for stacking because you use it that way, not because of an abstract rule.
Exactly. The function dictates the coding, not some abstract rule, applied to language elements, rooted in real-world interaction.
Okay, this connects nicely to the AI fallacy then. If our understanding of language itself is potentially flawed, what does that imply for AI? Especially since AI is supposed to understand language. Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, even admitted he doesn't fully get how his own deep learning models work anymore.
Yeah, which is quite telling, isn't it? And the key thing here is that current AI, like large language models or LLMs, they're amazing performers. They generate text, answer questions, but do they understand? In a human way? Probably not. They're essentially predicting the next word based on massive statistical patterns, like incredibly sophisticated mimics.
But they lack. What's missing?
Well, things like semantic hierarchy, a structured way to organize meaning.
Yeah.
Real cognitive memory, not just data recall. And things like moral weight, understanding intent, pain, symbolic consciousness. The deeper stuff.
So Dr. Kuchkarov calls them probabilistic mirrors, not thinking agents. They just reflect the data.
That's his view, yeah. They reflect, but don't truly comprehend. Which leads to the OT proposal for AI. It needs structural transformation, not just more data or bigger models. Like, you can't make a car fly just by making it bigger. You need wings, a fundamentally different structure.
So OT argues, meaning an AI shouldn't just come from layers of neurons processing stats.
Right. It should come from mapping form to function, sound to sensation, symbol to context, like how we learn. It's a call for a completely different AI architecture, one aiming for understanding, not just mimicry.
This is where it gets really fascinating. The Odom-Thiele framework itself. How does it actually propose this works? This unified model linking language, consciousness, cognition through phonetic interaction.
Yeah, the core idea is that it's rooted in physical, lived experience. Take the sound. It says OT argues it's not arbitrary. Think about the hissing sound, the airflow. It often mimics sounds like snakes or friction, sharpness. And across many languages, you find ends linked to concepts like snakes, sharpness, speed. It's not random.
Okay, interesting. Any other examples?
Yeah, consider T. That sound often reflects contact, tension, touch. Think of tap, touch, tight. That crisp stop sound. OT proposes these are universal, deep links between sound and meaning, arising from how we perceive and interact with the world.
So almost like a baby instinctively links certain sounds to sensations before even learning words.
That's the kind of foundational link OT suggests. It's deeply embodied.
And for AI,
Yeah.
can you actually build this? Can you replicate this in a machine, move beyond mimicry?
Well, Dr. Kuchkaroff argues yes, the OKI framework is potentially replicable. You'd replace the current token-based prediction, just predicting the next word statistically, with what he calls empirical symbol action mapping.
Symbol action mapping,
Meaning the AI would learn by associating symbols not just with other symbols, but with actions, functions, sensations in a simulated environment. Kind of like a child learning ball isn't just a word, but refers to a round thing that rolls, bounces, you can throw it, it connects the symbol to function and experience. That's a huge shift toward cognitive modeling.
Okay, let's zoom out. The implications here seem massive. If this OT theory holds up, what does it mean for the future of linguistics? And for cognitive AI, it sounds like a complete paradigm shift.
For linguistics, yeah, it's potentially huge. You move away from Saussure's arbitrary signs and Chomsky's abstract innate rules. Instead, you get this phonosemantic model grounded in empirical reality. Sounds linked directly to embodied experience. Language becomes an evolved cognitive code, reflecting perception, emotion, action. It could change how we even study or teach language.
And for AI, it means moving past just generating impressive text.
Exactly. And moving beyond probabilistic generation, beyond these black box models where we often don't fully understand the why behind their outputs. The goal with OT-informed AI would be cognitive modeling, building systems that can construct and navigate structured meaning, semantic hierarchies, simulate human-like conceptualization and reasoning. Think about an AI that could actually explain its reasoning, grounded in some form of simulated experience, not just point to correlations in data. That's aiming for deeper, more transparent understanding.
And this ties into the philosophy of cognition too, right? It seems to bring mind, language, and body much closer together.
It really does. A lot of theories treat cognition as abstract computation or just neural patterns. OT puts embodiment front and center. Cognition is biologically instantiated, inherently linked to our physical being. Phonetic forms, the sounds of language, become these functional gateways to concepts. So the framework tries to integrate linguistics, AI, neuroscience into one unified, testable, and hopefully more transparent picture of intelligence. It suggests that, to really get intelligence, artificial or natural, we have to start with our physical interaction with the world.
Wow. Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. Dr. Kuchkaroff's Odom-Thiele theory is basically throwing down a gauntlet, challenging the foundations of 20th century linguistics and current AI trends. He's saying these dominant ideas, structuralism, neural mimicry, are essentially illusions that are now being exposed.
That's the core of his argument, yes. He frames it as a scientific crossroads. The choice isn't just about scaling up what we have, making LLMs bigger or faster. It's about daring to fundamentally rethink language and cognition, go back to their origins in embodied experience.
Which brings us to his final, powerful thought. The human language is not arbitrary. It is the fingerprint of cognition itself. That's a profound statement. What does that redefinition really mean for how we see ourselves, how we learn, and where AI might go? Definitely something for you, our listeners, to mull over long after this deep dive ends.